Well, good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith, and how are you all today? Hope you're well. I want to talk today about a very serious subject. It's the choosing between your family and your freedom. Um, it's a subject I'm not sure a lot of people have thought real deeply about. So I want to kind of bring that up and give my opinion and leave it open for your own decision. You have to make your own decision. It's not a hard decision for me, as you might imagine, but we'll be talking about that. Before we get to that, I want to answer a couple of questions. First off, I had somebody ask, I've had a couple of people ask me about my shirts, about my flannels and my plaids, what they call the plaids. First off, I'll say it's not technically called a plaid. Plaid is a Scots Gaelic name for blanket. A lot of people don't know that. The designs that you see in these types of shirts that people call plaid are called tartans, and they told us that there are different ones for different clans and different septs, and which is a sub-clan. And so I get most of. We could go on for a long time with that, but you don't care about that. Most of mine I get at Bass Pro. I love their lines and I love their patterns, and I love their workmanship and how they hold up. This one happens to be from Duluth Trading Company. It was given to me by a good friend of mine. It's one of my favorites. It's lined. It's warm as can be, and I just love it. So that's where I get my tartan flannels. Somebody else asked about the Rumble channel. As most of you know, I have put up a mirror channel on Rumble to the American Reversion channel, and I'm in the process of putting up a mirror channel for this one, for Integrative Preparedness. It takes a little while. They upload all of the videos that you've ever made over onto your Rumble channel. So it'll be a process. I'll let you know when it's up over there. But you might, when the initial channel is up, I will put that link down in the description below, where all of the other links are. The links to our Patreon channel, the links to how to get my books, both on Amazon and through our website, how to get to the American Reversion channel, how to get to the Prepping for Prosperity channel, how to get to the Stonemont Church channel. All of that stuff is down in the description box. And I usually remember to add a pinned comment that kind of carries that, because some people have said they had a hard time. They didn't know where to find the description box. And also to remind you that this, as all of my videos, are brought to you by the Stonemont series, my books, a complete plan on how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a total collapse of whatever it may be, your country, your town, your state, your whatever, or the world itself. The reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and the very latest one that has recently come out, hostages to fortune. You can get them, as I say, on Amazon. The link is down below, in either paperback or Kindle, or you can get them directly from me, signed if you would like them, through our website, stonemont.us. Stonemont is the setting for this series. People who have read all the books we call Stonemonters. So become a Stonemonter. You'll love these books. You will not only will you learn something. I've had people tell me they learn something on every page, but you will love the story. You'll love the people. You will find that within these pages of this 6 books so far, yes, I'm working on the 7th, you'll find a world and people that you like better than the world and the people you deal with today. Okay. So now that we're through that, let's get to the subject of today, and that is choosing between freedom and your family. I'm going to take a sip of coffee here. I've had a couple people complain about my gulps. I swallow loudly. I'm sorry. That's just, I don't know why. It's just the way that it is. So I instead of putting the mic on my shirt, which I usually do, and then you get to hear that big, earthquake that when I take I swallow. I put the mic down on the desk, and I'm going to cover it with my hand as I take a much needed sip of this. We'll see if it works or not. Okay, We'll find out. I'll find out when I check it, and you already know, right? Choosing between your family and your freedom. Okay, what could I possibly mean by that? You've heard, it's been a popular statement, and T-shirt, and usually uttered by those who haven't thought it through and wouldn't actually do it, because it's so much easier to talk tough than to actually be tough. Something about they'll never take my, it's usually guns, right? I will fight them on the doorstep, right? They come here. I'll give them all my, one at a time. All that tough talk, right? Most of those people haven't taken a deep dive. Either they don't have any family, or they haven't taken a deep dive into what that actually means. Now, I know I'm going to get a whole lot of different opinions on this, and as long as you are respectful, that's fine. We're happy to have your personal opinions. I'm going to give you my personal opinions. I'm not going to say that you're stupid for having yours. Don't say that I'm stupid for having mine, or, then we have a problem. I don't think that most people who have thought about that have thought about it very deeply. When those things are said, they don't either realize what's going to happen next, or they don't care. Now, that could be different for different people. Okay, if they don't have a family, okay, then they go out in a blaze of glory, and they are remembered as great martyrs, and maybe or maybe not. I mean, because to be honest, the powers that be in the mainstream media, they're not going to make him out to be a martyr. They're going to make him out to be a wacko, to be honest. Just another wacko. That's what's going to happen. And that's if they don't have a family. If they do have a family, that family won't have them anymore. Either they'll be dead, or they'll be in prison for many, many years. A wife won't have her husband. Children won't have their father. Friends won't have their friend. Parents won't have their sons. All of these things. And that person will either be dead or rotting in a cell for the better part of their life. My question is, what purpose does that serve? Okay, I'll probably get some comments on here about, you're a sellout, you don't want to stand up for freedom and all that. Yeah, I do want to stand up for freedom. I want to stand up for the freedom of not being dead. And right here's where somebody said, well, that's a weak way to, okay. Let's continue on this, because I claim to have the smartest viewers and commenters in YouTube land. And I know that none of our regular viewers who are smart are going to say anything like that. But we'll get the odd one trickle by and say that this is a weakness, and this is how tyranny gets its grasp and all that. And of course, you all know that I am not against fighting. I am against fighting improperly or stupidly. Okay, and our fight right now is political. And these people who make these statements about getting up there, they're either trying to stir the pot, act tough, or they're agents provocateur. We know that. Now let's take this down the road a bit and say that we come under a tyranny that takes away our freedoms. I mean, even more than they are now, right? Even more than they are now. To where we are living under the oppressive boot of, say, a central bank digital currency that is able to control pretty much everything we do. And you have lost almost all of your freedom. And yet, you have your family. Okay, think about that. Let's think about this very, very deeply. And let's not go off on like so many channels will do. This is, we're going to do this. We need you. Okay, let's talk about reality. Because the security forces of our country, and when I was in Ireland, the north of Ireland, what some people call Northern Ireland, I saw, it was the first time that I had been introduced to the term securocrat or securocracy. And that was the oppression of the British government on the Catholic population in the north of Ireland that spurned the retaliatory efforts from the Republican side over there. And that's Irish Republicanism is not the same as American Republicanism. But they were, their families, they were under oppression, but they held to their families. And occasionally, some of the guys went away to prison. Then they came back. Their families had been taken care of. Their families were intact. People have lived under oppression forever. As a matter of fact, we're going to read something here. I'm going to read something. It was a comment from one of our commenters on yesterday's. Matter of fact, I'll read it right now. This might be a good place to. I marked it down. I wrote it down in my Stonemont notebook. And it was from Ozzy Valdez. Ozzy, thank you for the comment. And he said, when times get difficult and you have a family who depends on you, join the oppressor's system. Now, he didn't say join the oppressors. Okay, that needs to be very clear. He said join the oppressor's system and secretly destroy them from the inside while getting their benefits. Now let me go on. I'm going to read his second sentence that I'm going to clarify because I agree with some, I disagree with some. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's not a. He says, look at the Hebrews and their descendants who lived in the Egyptian system of the pharaohs. Okay, excuse me. Okay, now that was just a little bit different. Yeah, I mean the Hebrews had been given over because of their disobedience. They'd been given over to slavery in Egypt, which you could argue because of the disobedience of our country, we might be given over to slavery or oppression under whatever is, many people feel that what's going on right now is biblical. I can make a case for that. I could make a case against that. So we're not going to get into that. And please don't leave long diatribes of scripture about that. Okay. They didn't necessarily destroy the system. That's the thing. Ozzy's first sentence was good, but then the Hebrews didn't destroy the system of the pharaohs. They lived under the oppression of the pharaohs until God's intervention. Okay, let's just realize that. And then very interesting things happened that God, changed the hearts of the people of Egypt, and they gave the Hebrews all of their wealth as the Hebrews left on the Exodus. Interesting. We could go into that in detail, but we're not. We're not going to go into that. Those are interesting things, though. Many times in the past I've talked about the origin of organized crime, and I always use the example of the Sicilian Mafia, American Cosa Nostra a little bit. Interestingly enough, the Italian Ndrangheta has recently gotten into the news. I won't talk about that here, but maybe I will over on Patreon. That these were the genesis, the seeds of these organizations came out of the oppression of people by the government, and a very strict oppression. And they found ways to survive under and within the system without sacrificing themselves, and while maintaining, and even in many cases strengthening the bonds of their family, both nuclear and extended. That's why when it came over here to the United States, one of the reasons that it was so difficult for the government to crack into organized crime until much later on was that these groups were really families. They were families. I know they're talked about as families very loosely, and those who talk about organized crime who don't really understand what they're talking about. But they were families. They were families, both first husband, wife, mother, father, children, and then cousins and cousins and cousins and cousins. And some of you know what I mean by that. And then out into the next layer out there of what you've heard me refer to as framily, friends who become family essentially. So, when we think about what would we choose, and that choice has to be made between freedom and family. Are we going to martyr ourselves, give ourselves over to going out in a great blaze of glory like Finnecum did, and then deprive our family of their head, or at least a very important part of them, and they live the rest of their life in grief? So in essence, we're sacrificing our family. We really are. Some will say, I stand up so that my family will be free. Your family is not going to be free in that situation. Okay. I mean, if you're going off to do other things, we're not talking about that. And I'm not going to talk about that. So no, you're not winning freedom there. You're choosing your freedom of death or doing whatever you damn well want to in a very selfish way at the expense of your family and losing your family. On the far other end of the spectrum, when all of those freedoms are chipped away, are you going to choose freedom by running off to the hills by yourself, usually with a band of brothers? Or, and again, are you going to choose freedom by running yourself, or are you going to choose family? See, that really is, because many people lived under great oppression and actually strengthened their families, and then as a result were able to build great successes while working within, as Ozzy refers to in his first sentence, working within an oppressive system, not in a way that really supports it. And here's where somebody else will come along and say, but if you're working within it, you're supporting it. Well, I could support your argument in that, and I could also argue against your argument, and it would take for a long time to do it, and that's not within the parameters of this. My choice is always family. It's always family. No matter what happens in the world around you, if you hold on to, if you don't allow that system and that oppression to destroy your family and your central core. Those of you who have read the books, you know that we often refer to the Stonemont core in here. Not CORPS like Marine Corps, but CORE. The core of people, beginning with family and then extended family and then family, who under great challenges built a very good life and rebuilt a society that was preferable to the one that had collapsed. So I would say that in our world of changes and challenges, hold tight to that central core of family. Whatever freedom is taken away from us externally, we have the choice. We can go fight it, usually meaning alone, because you're not taking your wife and kids to go fight it. Really? I mean, you can say that running off to the hills is, and that's not fighting it, that's avoiding it. And then, and if that's your deal, that's fine too. I am not in any way putting that down. Not in any way. Except that usually the fight will get to you. And that when it gets to you, you're going to be alone, you know. But if that's your deal, that's your deal. And it's not for me to say, it's not up to me. You don't care if I agree with you or not, It's your way. It's your way. So good for you, and best of luck. But think about this. Think about what your decision would be, and things that occur to you. And this again is why I say I've got the smartest viewers and commenters in YouTube land. I'll be really interested to hear what you all think, and you're going to be able to come up with some instances and some examples that will help other people think in this. But I think that even if you don't arrive at an answer like I have, it's the thinking, it's the getting started in the thinking process, I think is important right now. So think about that. I'm gonna go make one for the Patreon folks. If you're not with us on Patreon, the link is down below. Come on over. That's where I'm able to put stuff up that I'm not able to put on here on the YouTube channel, because many people are watching this on Patreon. Come join us. It'll be worth your time and your money. I'll shoot one for American Reversion, because that's where we talk about the political things, the state of the world, and all of that. And then I'll be shooting another one for Prepping for Prosperity, where we talk about using our preparedness to increase our prosperity, and therefore further increase our preparedness. I had somebody say, he said at first, he left a comment, I think on yesterday's over there. He says, at first I thought you should just leave all this on one channel, but now I see I like the compartmentalization, because I couldn't really put everything on here. Some is about preparedness under political situations. The others is about actually participating in what's going on politically in the world. And a third one is about using that and the strength and the importance of financial preparedness that, to be honest, just too many people don't want to think about, don't want to talk about. I think a lot of that is because they don't think they're very good at it. And that's a shame, because you can be good at it. And it's important that you be good at it, because after the beans, bullets, God first, God, family, beans, bullets, Band-Aids, and all that. If you're not financially solid, that's going to put a big crimp in your ability to be truly prepared. So I will leave you at that. Excuse me. Remember, I get most of my shirts, which are tartans, not plaids, at Bass Pro, and this one's from Duluth. I love Duluth Trading Company. They are, their stuff is the highest quality. I just love their stuff. And remember the books, you can get them either through Amazon, link below, or through our website, stonemont.us, will link also below. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, and you all have a good one. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.